Zombies. That's right. I love drawing zombies. They're pretty much act and look like regular people, but I'm going to draw them and paint them green. And this is in celebration of the launch of Whack Your Boss Zombieland, the new app on Android. Go ahead and search for it on the Play Store. Download it for free. Have fun. It's based on my original game, Whack Your Boss. And I just wanted to draw some bosses for you tonight. I thought they were going to be bosses, and then the guy on the right eventually winds up looking more like an employee. And that's okay. So this guy here is a boss. You might hear a plane right now outside the window here. Yeah, definitely a plane. So I reduced the size of him. I don't know if they're spraying pesticides. Maybe they're spraying chemicals. That was a line there. That line there was for, that's what they call the gesture. It's like a line of action. It helps give the pose a little bit of, see, like that's more of a relaxed gesture line, but a gesture underneath here is sort of a curved line that gives your character a direction, a purpose, an overall arc. It's always good to have that there, whether you have it there or not. It's good to think about it. Now I draw another similar one here on the right so that I can draw another zombie later. And you know what? I think they just did. They just covered the place here with chemicals, those planes. I think a bunch of us are going to be turning into zombies. So the line of action, the gesture line, helps the character have a purpose, an overall feel. There should be like when you swing a baseball bat, you swing to hit a ball. There's like a whoosh, kind of a feeling, or like a golf swing. Even a simple walk like this should have a gesture. I don't know why I circled those eyes. There might be a reason later. Personally, I like the slow zombies. I don't like the fast ones. I like the ones like from the original Dawn of the Dead. Now the arm here just looks like it's coming a little too close to the arm below. So just because I like to sort of clean these kinds of things up, I take away that little bump there, just so that there's, just a little bit of breathing room is always good. There's something called a tangent. These two lines, these two arms touching don't really form a tangent per se, but it's always good to have things be nice and clear so that everything should always be like a nice silhouette. You'll hear me talk about that a lot in my videos. Like right now, his pose here, it's a good silhouette. If you were to make him completely black, he would still read as somebody sleepwalking or a zombie. He would still read like somebody walking with his arms stretched out in front of him. I love how green indicates that that's what makes a zombie. The original black and white Night of the Living Dead, when Ted Turner bought that movie or had the rights to it, he took this wonderful black and white movie and painted all the zombies green. Kind of ruined it. You can still get it these days on a with the black and white. If you're unfamiliar with Procreate, what just happened there, that gray thing, is because that little space there, that's where these spaces need to be filled in so that the color won't leak out. If you're drawing on pencil and paper, you don't have to worry about that. But when you're drawing on computer, that's the deal. The ability to do undo on a computer is worth the payoff of creating on computer rather than paper. So I'll go with basic gray here, and I'm pretty much ready now to start the zombie on the right. Sometimes I just throw down a line just to get something in there. I may not stick with it, but I just sometimes want to get loose. Sometimes I prefer to draw a new character on a completely blank sheet of paper, or I might hide the boss on the left here, and I might start to draw just with a completely blank screen. There's something fresh and easy about that, kind of like in the movie Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, when they're testing him to see if he can shoot a gun, because they're going to hire him he used to be an outlaw, and now they're going to hire him though to be a security guard for like a Wild West kind of a bringing of the gold, payment to the rail workers. And while he's being hired, they throw a little can out there and they say, shoot it. And he says, can I move? And he's like, no, just take the gun and shoot the can. And he can't shoot it. But then when he can move, when he can whip the gun out of his holster in one fell swoop, then he can shoot. Then he can actually hit the target. And I feel that way when I draw sometimes. Like if I can just have a nice blank sheet of paper and make a big bold line, that's easier than trying to fit a character into a scene. Again, here we've got the gesture here. We're following him. Little wimpy, droopy guy. I make these tiny hands on him. That's important to show an impudent little character who doesn't have a lot of power. If he had a big fist like this, who would he be like? He'd be like the Hulk, really powerful. But he's not. He's a dead, loser, wimpy zombie with tiny hands. And that helps him to read then as a weak character. The flaccid tie hanging down as well, mirroring the arms, helps him to feel even more of a, wimpy, droopy, slinky kind of a character. This is really, they say that animators are shy actors. It's really, even though this is not animation what we're doing today, to animate means to give life. You want your characters to have life, even if they're just standing or doing a little walk like this. You want them to really feel like what they are. It's a cartoon, so you can exaggerate whatever you want. But it's always good to have this idea of this, the gesture being in there. These lines here will always help your character. No matter how much you exaggerate it, it's good to have that core there. You got a wimpy character, you can have skinny legs, skinny arms. Now in my game, the boss on the left is a little more powerful and domineering than the employee. At least until we find out that the employee has some powers of his own. But so that's why the boss here has a little bit thicker legs, thicker arms. The employee here on the right is really wimpy. I kept losing some color here through the little holes here, so I kind of fix up the tie and the collar a little bit. And so what's the story here? Are they friends? Are they attacking each other? Are they fighting? Are they going to walk past each other? This is all the fun about just starting drawing without a real plan. The only structure is these two gesture lines. Same line, different poses. One guy's a little more dominant, the other one's a little more wimpy. Then it's about where to put them. Where are they? And I initially experiment with a room, like just basic ideas. Sometimes just a hint of something is nice in the background. You'll see on some of my quicker sort of YouTube short videos, if I just throw in a couple of balloons in the background or something, it feels like a party, If there's a lamp, you feel like you're in a living room. And so I want to show you here a little something too, which is you don't want boring lines that go parallel with your edges of your paper. You want your lines to generally be, if you're going to have a background like this, a little more dynamic. They shouldn't be straight along the edges. So you've got your line on the left here, the up and down, the rectangle. See now on this one here, see the way I'm going a little more crazy, a little more angular, so that everything is offset, so that nothing is parallel. Parallels are boring. Like this is kind of boring. It's not perfectly boring. I'm trying to show you here now that it's a little bit boring, but the main thing is if you're going to have a background like this, have it be dynamic. Even if it's exaggerated, even if it's not realistic. See, look at this. It's a little more dynamic, a little more crazy. But in the end, I decided I wasn't that crazy about having them in a room. I still didn't know what the story was, but I felt like if they were sort of a little bit dead inside and like zombies, maybe their whole world should be a little more dynamic than just two guys wandering around in an empty room, even if I put a filing cabinet in it or something. But I suddenly thought, what if they were like in an arena fighting each other, some sort of a like the Thunderdome kind of a place. And when I drew that circle underneath them, then I really said, I think that's a good idea. I want to go with that. Go with this idea of a pedestal, that if you bumble in your stupidity of being a zombie, if you bumble along and knock your opponent off into the fires of hell, then you win your dead doorbell prize, your zombie prize. Now, this is what I was talking about here. Just a few little circles here can give the feeling of an audience. That's all it takes. A few lines to indicate fists and arms outstretched, And there we have it, our Thunderdome Zombie Arena. If you can, click the subscribe button. It would really help me out. Ring the bell. And even leave a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts if you'd like me to draw something different in the future. I know a lot of you are always writing and you're saying that you'd love to see a Doodie Man series. I'm working on that right now, so I'd love to hear your comments. Thanks for watching. Take care.